because, sir, they will be sending queries to that email otherwise.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we can wait for maybe 5-10 minutes more. So it is gone on live also on YouTube channel. Yeah, this looks beautiful. The slide share is going on well.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. voice is so disturbance.
Please unmute your mic.
So, Dr. Partha, can we begin the talk or should we wait for 5 more minutes?
Yeah, I think it's up to you. I mean, if you think we can wait for another 5 minutes, you can definitely.
Yeah, we can wait for another 5 minutes and then begin.
Okay.
Please mute your mic.
ಅಲ್ಲ
Okay, sir.
I hope everybody has got settled now, all the students.
yes
Students, you don't have to say yes, you just have to chat it out. Okay, you don't have to reply. This is not a classroom. Okay, fine. So please do not answer back, do not unmute your mics, keep them always muted. Think that you do not have mics and you do not have a video on your screen, and please keep silent and chat only those questions on the chat box, because at the end of the talk there will be so many questions and it will be very difficult for us, to find out which question you have asked, and we might miss out on your questions. Okay, so can I begin the talk for today? I hope all of you are ready. I know I have got that habit of asking questions. Doesn't mean you answer it. You can just type it out on the chat box. So a very good afternoon to everyone. We will begin today's 14th webinar. Again, I would like to tell you that I am Dr. Wafia Masi from CSR National Chemical Laboratory. I would like to thank you all students and the teachers for participating in this series of webinars since the past few months. And this is the 14th webinar organized by CSIR JIGYASA in association with the Atal Tinkering Labs. I request you to kindly mute your audio video. I always repeat this, and stay tuned to yet another inspirational talk from our CSIR sister concern laboratory IICB on the topic of Anthropocene and human diseases. So I'm honored to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Partha Chakravarti. He's a principal scientist at CSIR, Indian Institute of Chemical Biology, Kolkata. And he has completed his MBBS from Calcutta Medical College, and he's an MD, that is Doctor of Medicine, from Banaras Hindu University in 2005, where he also received the first prize. After his MD, he went to USA for a PhD at Boston University Medical School. There he joined IICB in 2011 and established a laboratory called the Metabolic Diseases Laboratory. His current research interests are pathogenesis of diabetes, obesity, and fatty liver disease. Can the student be quiet and put off his video? I can see him. Please don't disturb the class, the webinar. So as I was saying that Dr. Partha Chakravarti has established a metabolic diseases laboratory, and his current research interests are pathogenesis of diabetes, obesity, and fatty liver diseases. He has numerous publications in journals such as FASEB J Diabetes, JBC, MCB. He serves as the editorial board member of Endocrinology, published by the Endocrine Society USA. He is also a recipient of Henry Rusick's Student Achievement Award and he has received the first prize for the Best Graduate Research 2009 from Boston University. He has also received the Mirna and Karl Krasblau Student Travels Award.
And your mic is on mute. Please unmute your mic.
ATL ಮೇಡಮ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೋಲ್ಕತ್ತಾದಲ್ಲಿ
Hello,
ದಿಸ್
Dr.
ಈಸ್
Partha.
ಯೋರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್
Yeah.
ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೋರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್
Hello.
ನಾಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there was some net connectivity problem.
Yeah. So no issues. From our side, we are okay.
Yeah, you can begin the talk.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Bafia Masi, and good afternoon, children. And as you know, so this is a part of the JIGYASA program. We have been doing it in the schools, particularly the KV schools, and now we are into this large webinar mode because of the pandemic issues across the country, as you all know. And so today's topic, if you see, it's a bit different. And the title you can see is called Anthropocene and human diseases. So perhaps not all of you know about or heard about this term called Anthropocene. So Anthropocene suggests that it's about anthropos, means it is about human. Okay, so there is a subject called anthropology. You might have heard about it, and that talks about humans, right? And the scene, this term came from another subject called geology. How? So this is the traditional mode of looking at the deep geological time of Earth. And in the middle, you perhaps all of you have heard about this period. It's called Jurassic, right? So you know this famous movie about Jurassic Park and the dinosaurs and all this. And later on, there are a whole bunch of other geological time periods, including Paleocene, Eocene, like that. And finally, we are in the era of a period called Holocene. With this background, so the new name called Anthropocene suggests that this geological time is basically regulated, controlled, dominated by humans. Okay? And classically, it is considered from 1950. So we are almost 70 years into this geologic phase. So what's so special about it? We'll talk about it. And first, I'll show you the impact of Anthropocene across the globe, what is happening in the biotic world, in the living world, and also in the abiotic world, right? In the non-living world. At the same time, I'll show you later on how these
वाईफाई की
changes,
स्पीड ही नहीं आ रही
human-induced changes in the world
22 KB स्पीड आ रही है
has led to development of whole bunch of diseases which we suffer from.
क्या
And one of them is a disease which we are going through, a pandemic, as you all know, it's called COVID-19, right? So if we try to define Anthropocene, basically, our most recent geologic time period, as I have already mentioned to you, as being the human influenced or anthropogenic. And human activity changed the atmosphere, the geology, the hydrology, the water bodies, biosphere, the air, and other earth systems, including all the animals and plants, right? So in this background, not so even in a very recent
मम्मी स्पीड नहीं आ रही
yeah, so even in the very recent scientific literature, the famous journals like Science, Nature, they have also started talking about this era, okay? And this has named in different ways. For example, it's called human age. Some people call it a human epoch, right? And for this seminar or this discussion, we are using the term Anthropocene, okay? And so when we are talking about Anthropocene, we're talking about humans, right? And as we know so far in 2020, that humans actually evolved the eastern part of Africa. Okay, so you all know this global map. Here in this region, human evolved around 2 lakh years ago. And then humans began a journey from Africa to the other parts of the world. And for our discussion, let's just concentrate on India. And as you can see here, the humans came all through the Middle East, to the Iran, Afghanistan, and eventually to India around 70,000 years ago. Okay? A time when there was no Ganges River. So it's a very different India we are talking about in 70,000 years ago. There was no Ganges, there is no other tributaries of Ganges. So the entire North India was very different. South India was like that. 70,000 years ago, human first came to Indian subcontinent, and we are still here. Okay. Now, if you just look at, you don't have to look at these graphs in detail, but what it shows here, the impact of human activity on Earth. Okay. So if you just look at a few things, for example, large dams, the water usage, and the fertilizer usage, right? From 1900 to 2010, it went up exponentially. So there is a huge increase in the consumption of fertilizer, consumption of fresh water, and construction of large dams. And this has made a lot of impact on human habitat and life forms of other animals and plants. And I'll show you one or two examples, and I think you'll enjoy that. Now, this is a slide from your geography textbook. Okay. So you might have heard about these seas, right? Landlocked seas called Caspian Sea and the Oral Sea. These are located in the Central Asia. Okay. So Oral Sea,
Audible.
we are talking about Oral Sea. Okay. So the Oral Sea is in the Central Asia, and it was fed by two rivers. Okay. Side and Amu. It is written here, right? Two rivers. And people have constructed huge dams on these rivers, and the flow of water into the rivers went down eventually, right? So what happened? So this is the picture. So this is the satellite picture of Aral Sea. Okay. So on the left top corner, you see it's a picture in the 1977, right? And with time, you can see the size of the Aral Sea went down and down, and it is reduced to a large lake in 2013, right? At the bottom right. So a huge sea was completely destroyed by human activity. And how does it look now? It looks something like that. It looks like a desert. And since it was a sea, the big ships, fishing ships, and the cargo ships, they were just lying on the desert, right? So this is one of the example of what is the impact of Anthropocene on this planet Earth. Okay, so this is very destructive in overall tone. Now, at the same time, if we look at the evolution of life on Earth, so we know there has been at least 5 mass extinction that happened before 2020. Okay, so five mass extinction, and the last one was in the Jurassic Age. Okay, so Jurassic Age, as you know, the dinosaurs were all extinct, and afterwards, in last few million years, there has been no mass extinction. Now the question is, with the arrival of Anthropocene, whether we are entering into another mass extinction. And the scientists have next one. Yeah. So now, when we look at the recent scientific literature, we can see because of human activity, there has been a huge loss of plants and animals across the globe. Okay. And most importantly, if you see the land vertebrates, at least 70% of them are in decreasing in number, right? For mammals, not so for birds, but reptiles and amphibians. Most of the animals. Oh, yeah, somebody has started sharing. These are our thing, right? So please don't do that at this point.
Chiller, please sharing your screen. Stop sharing your screen. Students, please stay calm and quiet.
We may, yeah.
Can you please off your screen, Vansh Chiller?
Is it?
Yeah, yes,
Is it visible? Okay, fine. I think. Okay, so large number of plants and animals are at stake so far their lives are concerned, right? And it's estimated that at least 25% of mammals will go extinct in the next 200 years. And since we are also human and mammals, so there is a potential chance, and we can also face a devastating future if the world goes on like this. Okay, and what could be the reasons? And one of the major reasons will be the different kinds of diseases. Okay, and so the diseases that afflicts human, because we die from diseases, right? And if you think about the diseases, so we have two kinds of diseases. We all know one disease called infectious disease, right? For example, this COVID-19, it's an infectious disease. Malaria, cholera, these are all infectious disease. And there is another set of disease called non-infectious disease or non-communicable diseases. Okay. So, for example, diabetes, okay, heart diseases, hypertension. So these are non-communicable diseases. So that means they don't spread from one individual to the other. Okay. Whereas the infectious diseases, they do. Okay. So I think sharing, we need to share it again. Yeah. Right. So this is a story of an infectious disease called smallpox, which is now extinct. But it has an interesting history and a dark history in the history of human civilization. When the Western European people brought smallpox, the virus, all the way from European continent to the Americas, both North America and South America. And there, they didn't have this disease before. Okay, so they didn't have the people of North and South America. They didn't have resistance or immunity against smallpox. So millions of Red Indians, as we call them now, or the Native Americans, they died because this disease was brought in from the Europe, right? So another example would be, so I'll come to other examples, but just to tell you the story that, as you can see, that 60% of all infectious disease of humans, they actually came from animals. Why is it so important? Because the smallpox came from cow. And cowpox is the original virus which got mutated and started infecting humans. But in Americas, there was no cow. So the people there, they never got smallpox or cowpox, right? That's why they were not immune. So when smallpox was brought from Europe to India, it did not cause any damage to Indian people. Indians, we are in touch with cows for thousands of years, right? Similarly, okay, and as you can see on the right side, right bottom, that 75% of all the emerging infectious disease, including COVID-19, they are primarily zoonotic in origin. That means, so humans are destroying the habitats of other animals, and the viruses and bacteria which reside in on those animals, they started infecting humans. Okay. So now the situation is 75% of all the infectious diseases are coming from animals. That includes, for example, this COVID-19. Most likely it came from bat and through pangolin and to humans. Okay. So similarly, so yeah, so I would request everybody not to share their screen because it's getting disturbed. intermittently. So please don't share your screen. Okay. Uh, okay. Now, so if we think about our Indian condition, okay. So in the Indian ancient literature of medicine, so there has been description of a lot of diseases, okay, and you can see some are listed here, and you can see a whole bunch of non-communicable diseases or NCDs. There has been description of diabetes. There has been description of bronchial asthma, anemia, goiter, and all kinds of stuff, right? Also, there has been description of infectious diseases like kushta, tuberculosis, diarrhea, and all this, right? Interestingly, the kind of infectious disease we are now suffering a lot, for example, malaria, for example, cholera, these are not in our ancient literature. So these indicates that these diseases somehow came into Indian subcontinent at a later time. Okay, because we don't have any indigenous Prakrit or Sanskrit names for these diseases. Okay, and so I'm giving you one example of cholera, right? So it has been described that cholera is an Indian disease. To be specific, it came from Bengal, right? But interestingly, there has been no literature of cholera in any Indian medicine text. So Dr. Shambhunath Dey, a physician and scientist at Calcutta in 1950s, he discovered how cholera actually causes diarrhea and the disease, and he also showed that actually cholera organisms came all the way from Europe to the India. It's not the other way around, and that's why we don't have any mention of cholera in the ancient literature. At the same time, we don't have any ancient god or goddesses associated with cholera. Okay. So I again request you all not to share your screen. Getting
Please
interrupted.
don't share your slides. Please, why are you putting your video on, students? If
Some
you want the
disturbing
talk to go
sound.
smooth, please listen to the talk and stay away from
This
your
sound is
gadgets.
about
Stay
the
away from that and just
students
listen.
joining and leaving the class. So
Okay.
never
So
mind the sound.
let's move to
It
another
won't be
disease,
stopped anyway.
and this disease is called Kala-Azar.
Sorry to disturb.
So
Disturbing
Kala-Azar
sound.
was also described
Hello.
as an Indian disease, and interestingly, Kala-Azar was never described in India. In fact, Kala-Azar organism has been found in Egyptian mummy. So it is very clear that Kala-Azar actually came all the way from Mediterranean region to India later on. And it started in Assam, and that's why it used to be called Assam fever. And because there is no indigenous name for that, right? Similarly, if you think about malaria, it's rampant across the country here, but we don't have any indigenous name for malaria. Malaria is an Italian term which means bad air. And in fact, it was so prevalent in Italy and Mediterranean that at least 6 popes at the Vatican City, they died of malaria. And in India, we do not have any history of malaria in the ancient times. So malaria came much later and most likely through the European invaders. So the disease pattern in India is very different from the Europe, but because of this anthropogenic activity of humans coming from one continent to the other in a very short period of time, brought the diseases from one side to the other. And this is Dr. Ronald Ross, who actually discovered the malaria parasite in Kolkata, and he got the Nobel Prize later on. Okay, now let's just move to the non-communicable disease, and that makes the story even more interesting. And what happened that so the Indians, most of the Indians are now dying from non-communicable disease and not from communicable disease. And if you just look at this Indian map, top and bottom, so this is 2001, sorry, to the 1990. So the red color suggests or indicates the presence of communicable disease, whereas the blue color represents the non-communicable disease. So in India, at this point, most of the people, the cause of death is non-communicable disease. Okay, that includes heart attack, hyper.
You are muted.
Diseases. Okay, so the disease pattern has changed, and we are in a very different reality now. It's not infectious disease anymore. Now, so these diseases, we often call them are lifestyle diseases. Okay, so that includes obesity, that includes cardiac problems, atherosclerosis, diabetes, coronary artery disease, anemia, and a whole bunch of other diseases. And there has been a very strong link between the anthropogenic activity and the lifestyle disease. So when we talk about lifestyle, so primary area is how we live, right? And major way of living our life is through food, what we eat and how we. So I'll give you some example. So if you see this picture, it's very difficult to identify what kind of vegetables are these, right? But these are all food and these are tubers. Actually, these are all pictures of potatoes, right? But the potato, what we see in the market these days, they don't look like this. It's very different. So these are the, if we wish, the natural potatoes. And now, because of anthropogenic activity called agriculture, we have changed potato to a single type, right? The entire biodiversity of potato is lost. Now, again, as I mentioned, a lot of diseases came all the way from Europe to India. Similarly, a lot of vegetables, plant species came from Americas to India. And these are the fruits and vegetables you can see, all very common to you, very much known to you. All of them actually came from Central America. Okay, so Mexico, Peru, and those areas. So starting from pineapple to guava to green chili, it seems that all these vegetables and fruits are very indigenous to India, and actually none of them. Only in last 200 years, these plants were brought into Indian subcontinent and they are being cultivated and they become here, right? So these are not natural indigenous food in that sense. Also, this one you all know because we all came after the lunch, right? And every Indian meals ends with some sweets, and rasgulla is the most popular one. And the rasgulla, interestingly, it came from a material called chena, right? But through acidification of milk. And the production of chena and paneer in India has started in last 200 years. So there has been no paneer and chena in India before 200 years. So it's pretty recent phenomena. So the kind of food we are eating, don't think these are very natural and indigenous to our land. A large majority of them were actually imported and because of this anthropogenic activity. I'll show you some other examples how we have changed the world. So on the top left, if you see, this plant is called banana these days. But this is the wild type of banana with full of seeds and very little pulp, right? If you think about a flowering plant, they would always produce seeds. But these days, we only eat bananas without any seed, right? So the entire reproductive program of banana plant has been snatched off has been destroyed by us, and banana does not grow from its seeds anymore, anywhere in the world. So its life is absolutely dependent on human. This is an example of watermelon, a painting in 18th century. And you can see the watermelon looks like very different from what we see here today. So it's full of seeds and very little red pulp, right? This is one example of wild watermelon with a very little red sweet pulp. It's mostly seed, solid pulp, right? So we have changed watermelon in such a way that, and as you know, the grapes are seedless these days. So because humans, we don't like seeds, we have changed the reproductive program of most of the plants, cultivable plants, so that we don't get seeds, right? So these are causing havoc in our food habit, in our health, in our lifestyle. So here is another example. This is an example of carrot. So these white roots are the wild type of carrots. This is the whole plant. And now we have converted carrots into this, which again happened in last 100, 150 years. So there is no these orange crunchy carrots 200 years ago. And even more interesting, the right bottom one, this is a very interesting fruit or a seed, if you wish, which is these days is just not recognizable. And the fruit is, I'll show you in the next slide, is this. So this is corn, and this is the wild type corn, as I have shown you earlier slide. And this corn has been modified to this today, right? It's
Dr.
sugar.
Parth, I would like to
Yeah.
interrupt you.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
There is one student, Videsh. Can you hear me, Videsh? Videsh Agarwal, can you hear me? Videsh Agarwal, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, can you off your video? I have sent you so many messages. Can you put it off? It is very distracting. Can you my video? I have put it off because only the presenter's video should be on. Can you switch off your video? Please do it immediately. Thank you very much. And don't switch on. Anybody who switches on their videos, their names will go to their teachers and to their principals. Okay. Let's see the presenter eye to eye and let us understand what he is speaking and how he is explaining. Please mute your mics, everybody, and please do not put it on again. Thank you very much, Dr. Partha. It's a very nice. Please,
Yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, absolutely fine. Yeah. Okay, so as we were discussing, so because of our anthropogenic activity or the human activity, we have transformed the world, and one major area is we have transformed the plant world. And I have shown you some of the examples, the glaring examples of how we have transformed, and we transformed our food. Transformation of food actually caused a lot of diseases these days. Those are all of the NCD type or the non-communicable disease type, the heart disease, the diabetes, and all this, right? And I'll show you the probably the most to do with rice, okay? Because the large majority of Indians, they thrive on rice, and in Indian subcontinent, including from Pakistan to Bangladesh, the entire subcontinent, we used to have almost 60,000 varieties of rice, even in 200-300 years ago. Okay, now it has been reduced to 100 or so. So the biodiversity of rice has lost. We have lost the biodiversity, and we have also lost the type of nutrient, the diverse nutrients we used to get, our grandfathers and grandmothers used to get. We are not getting it. Now what we are eating is basically a pure white rice and of very few variety with very little nutrients, right? And that has a lot to do with our health. And at your age, and I think it's very important when you talk about food and good health and good nutrition, you must think about rice, what kind of rice we are eating, and how we are processing rice, and that I'll show you in the next slide. So here you can see, so this is the paddy, as you all know. If you cut it, if you remove the outer shell or the hull, you will see a brown coating, right? And this is called bran. And this bran includes a part of the rice embryo called rice germ, right? So what happens in the factories, this hull is removed, the entire brown coating, including the germ, is removed. So the rice bran is removed, okay? So the rice bran contains whole bunch of vitamins, water-soluble vitamins, vitamin B, okay, for example, and the rice germ, which is full of oil, it contains a lot of good vitamins, for example, vitamin A, vitamin D, okay? So all are removed. And as you know, these days we also can purchase rice bran oil, right? How can you have oil from rice? Because this outer shell is removed with the germ and the oil is extracted from that germ and that is sold in the market, right? And it's called that rice germ oil or the rice bran oil is good for your health. So previously, when there was no milling and polishing of rice, we used to have the whole grain and we used to have the whole, all the vitamins, all the fibers and everything, right? And now what we are eating these days is essentially the inner core of the rice, which is nothing but the carbohydrate part. Carbohydrate, what is that? You will find it in your textbook. This carbohydrate is called starch, and starch is nothing but a polymer of glucose. So basically, when we are eating rice, we are essentially eating glucose, or as I sometimes call it, so instead of rice, we can eat glucon D, right? So 100 gram of rice is equivalent to 100 gram of glucon D these days, because we are not eating anything. So we are consuming a lot of sugar, unnecessary sugar, and which is harming our health. And this is just not a story. And I would like to share with you one scientific article at the end. And this is very recently published, in fact, 3 days ago, in September 2020. You can see there's a study across 51 countries among 132,000 people on rice intake. And this rice, as you know, it's white rice, right? And in the bottom, you can see the risk of developing diabetes is highest among the South Asia. What is South Asia? This is India. Okay. So Indians are at higher risk of developing diabetes if we consume white rice, okay, compared to the other countries. So this is an interesting scenario. We have we have started consuming this kind of rice, and I can tell you this is true for wheat also. The wheat eating population of India, they are at the same risk. But this is scientifically validated now. There are a whole bunch of wheat studies, but now it's very clear the kind of cereals we eat these days, they are putting us at risk of developing all these non-communicable diseases. So I'll stop here today, and I'll be happy to take questions now. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Partha Chakravarti. I would request students to please put your questions in the chat box. I have not seen any questions. And why is
Okay.
Arusha online on video? Arushi Tiwari, can you please switch off your video? So we have found some questions
Voice
here.
is cutting.
Please system, because I can hear it very well. So the first question has is on why is COVID-19 called coronavirus, as the word coronary is usually associated with the ear. What is ear? Anyway, with the heart. Sorry, he writes with the heart afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So should I answer? Okay.
yes,
So we know a little bit about the structure of coronavirus. So the corona is not coronary here, but it's like the sun. Okay, it has corona, it has rays. So the virus has spikes in its body. It's a circular spherical structure with spikes on its top. So that's why it's called coronavirus. Okay, I think I have answered your question.
yes. The next question is, please tell me about obesity.
Okay. So obesity, you all know, right? You put up more fat in your body. So there is a ratio called body mass index, BMI. So it's a calculation between your height and your weight. Okay. So it's not that a very tall person may have high weight. Okay. So he or she may not be fat, but a short person with less weight could be obese. Okay. So in Indian context, the BMI is cutoff is 25. If somebody's BMI is above 25, we call them obese. And the major cause of obesity in India, at least, it's not because of eating excess fat, but because of eating excess carbohydrate in terms of rice or wheat or ice cream and stuff like that. It's not we are eating a lot of fat, but we are eating a lot of carbohydrate and the sugar, free sugar we eat a lot.
The next question is related to obesity. How do you deal with obesity? I think
Okay. So I think you know it better than me, whoever has asked these questions. So idea is simple, that you have to eat less. That means you have to consume less energy, and you have to more expenditure of energy in terms of exercise. It does not mean that you have to go to gym and put up a lot of weight. Exercise means you have to walk a lot, you have to run a lot, and you have to play a lot. At your age, you can do that to some extent, and that's how you can reduce obesity. And please remember, obesity is not a cosmetic problem. The problem of obesity is that it can lead to lot of diseases which may cripple you for the rest of your life. Suppose a person has developed diabetes at the age of 40. Okay. Now everybody lives till 80. So half of your life, 40 to 80, half of your life you are carrying disease with you. And that's not a nice way of living in this beautiful world.
yeah. Thank you. So the next question is
Good job.
Wolf. And how many types of rice are there?
Okay.
Questions together.
So crops actually did not evolve, if you wish. Idea in Darwinian sense, they did not. For example, these cereals. So if you think about wheat or rice, these are nothing but grass, right? There are thousands and millions of varieties of grasses in the world. So we have chosen few grass which produces a lot of seeds. All the grass produce seed, but some of the grasses they produce more seed, and we chose them, we stored them, and we planted them, and that's how it evolved. So it's not a natural selection in Darwinian sense. It's more of a cultural selection. We have selected them. That's how they evolved. Okay.
Yeah. So the next question is, how do you get free from diabetes?
Okay. So for you, I would say you don't create a condition where you would develop diabetes. Okay. Because none of you have developed diabetes at this age. But but your lifestyle for next 10, 20 years will determine to a large extent whether you will develop diabetes. Okay, so that's what matters. But if somebody is having diabetes already, so there are a whole bunch of lifestyle modification changes are there. There's a lot of there are a lot of medications available. There are all kinds of other systems are there through which it can be managed. But please remember, diabetes or any non-communicable diseases, these cannot be cured. Like infectious diseases, you cannot cure it. All you can do, you can manage it to a reasonably, working level. But not you can cure it. You cannot exterminate these diseases. Okay.
Yeah. So the next question is again to rice. What are the benefits and what are the disadvantages of rice?
So rice as a whole grain, it's almost a complete food, except for it has less proteins. Okay. So a whole rice, as I mentioned, with a core, which will give you a lot of carbohydrate, give you a lot of energy. The bran will give you fibers, will give you vitamins, water-soluble vitamins. The germ will give you a lot of fat-soluble vitamins and a lot of good fat, omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, unsaturated fatty acids, which are good for your cardiac health. And,
Yeah.
but the problem is we don't eat that anymore. So we remove those good things. We just pick up the white core, which is full of carbohydrate, and we eat that, and that's the problem. Okay. So if you eat whole rice and take some protein source, vegetarian or non-vegetarian protein source, this will be a complete diet. So you don't need anything.
Yeah. Just before I ask the next question,
Mhm.
Yugraj, please put off your videos. I think some of you are just putting them on. We can have a good, we can have a session at the end, and we will tell you all of you all to unmute your videos, and you all can come here with smiling faces. But right now, please switch it off. Okay. So the next question is, does consuming brown rice help? Does brown rice contain bran?
Yeah. So definitely brown rice do not contain bran. So they are basically brown colored rice. Okay. So they have a pigment or coloring molecule which colors the rice. So it's a brown colored rice. Also, you will find a black rice, which is also available in the market these days, which has a black pigment. So these rice probably are better than the white rice, but they do not have brands. Okay, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is, if the reduction of biodiversity of our consumable crops have caused the uprising of diseases, then how come it get detected so late?
Uh, I don't know which disease are you talking about. So this is not detected in late. For example, if you think about non-communicable diseases, changes of non-communicable diseases in our population, to find it in a significant numbers, statistically significant numbers, would take few decades. Other than you won't get that. It's not like infectious disease. You can see the changes over 6 months, like what is happening in COVID. But if you want to see whether diabetes is increasing in India, you need a study for 20 years to see that, because it evolves over our individual's life. It takes 20 years to develop diabetes. Okay, so to see a change in the population, it will take time. So you cannot find it overnight.
So the next question is, can we recover the types of rice that were eaten earlier?
Well, question is those varieties which are extinct, it cannot be recovered. You cannot, the same way you cannot recover dinosaur, except in the methods. Similarly, the plants which are already extinct, you cannot recover. But there has been effort countrywide. People are trying to recover whole lot of varieties. And there has been an effort from the NGOs and as well as from the government sector. People are reclaiming those seeds. And now in India, in last 10 years, there has been a significant increase in the crop varieties of rice. At least for rice, I know a lot of rice has been rediscovered again.
One question is there, how many types of rice are there?
Well, as I said, the rough estimate was 60,000 in Indian subcontinent. 60,000, 60,000. Okay. So Indian subcontinent means Pakistan, Bangladesh including, the entire geography. So 60,000 in say 200-300 years ago. Now it has reduced to few hundreds.
Okay. The next question is, are virus, what is this? Are virus were the first origin of life? Oh, he is talking about life.
Yeah, so answer is I don't know. The best answer is I don't know. Because nobody has seen the first moment of life. There has been a lot of speculation that virus could be the first organized biomolecular structure, but it's very difficult to say. I'm not the right or the best person to comment on that.
So the next question is, how and why banana has developed pharmacogenetical genes?
Right. So when any organism is put under any stress, okay, so biotic or abiotic, they start reorganizing their genes, right? And fortunately or unfortunately, banana could do. It might have happened that a lot of other plant species they could not. That's why they, for example, if you know, the grapes have also developed that, right? So, and there are a lot of plants which you cut a piece of branch and you plant it, they grow. So that happened in banana. You cut the root and you plant it, it can grow, right? And that has become the only mode of reproduction in banana now.
Thank you. The next question, I am not sure whether it is on topic, how to deal with sinus problem, nose blockage.
Oh,
Is this in the context of the talk?
not really. It's more of a.
More, they want to know what coronavirus symptoms looks like. So we will not take those questions which are out of context, students. Let us focus on the talk of today's. What is friction? I'm not sure if this is also sounds like out of context. The next question is, if the consumption of rice in these days results in consumption of excess sugar and carbohydrates, what can be a substitute for it?
Well, so the substitute definitely could be the whole rice. That's the best substitute, but which is not available in the market as such. So the only way to deal with that, to reduce rice consumption, increase vegetable and fruits, not some fruits, vegetables, and other protein consumption. You have to replenish or substitute the consumption of other food.
Maybe a lot of protein diet also will help, and a lot of vegetable diet would also help. So let's go to the next question. Is there any particular lens to see virus?
I could not hear you because
Uh, this question is that is there a particular lens to see the virus? We can see it through a microscope, right?
again,
Is there a problem?
we have few issues here. Oh, Sindhu Sajid. Okay. Yeah, she's on. That's why yeah, I think now it's good. Yeah. Okay, can you please repeat the question again?
Yeah, there was some again net. I think my this power went off and put on something of that sort.
Okay.
Okay, the next question is how can how we can be safe in corona time. Can you please say some advice? I think this is not, we had lots of talks on corona in the beginning. I think
Right.
3 to 4 talks were there. Probably you have to go back to those talks and listen if you have missed it. We'll go on the relevant questions to this topic today's. did rice did rice help us to reduce fat or any disease? Students, can you mute your mics, please? Can you please mute your mics? So the question is, did rice help us to reduce fat or any disease?
Yeah, so far the whole rice is concerned, as I mentioned. Whole rice means the core, the bran, the nut, everything. That would definitely reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular and cardiovascular diseases.
I think somebody's mic is on. Please mute it. Okay. The next one is, could pollen allergy, uh, allergy can be cured completely? Can you cure
Sorry, I can't
pollen
hear
allergy?
because fully is on. So
Hello?
yeah, now you're, yeah, please.
Students, please mute your mics. I can see who all have unmuted, and I am not able to mute their mics. If I can, I will just put your names to your school and your principals. Please put it off. Thank you. Who is Devraj? Please stop sharing your content. The next question is, how can pollen allergy be cured? Means if you are allergic to pollens, how can you cure yourself?
Well, again, this is not part of
It is,
not
yeah,
the
it is not
context of.
part of today's talk. There is another topic for it. We will come up with the topic in a short time. Who is considered obese?
Okay, so I already mentioned to you that so there is a cutoff of body mass index of 25. And somebody is having BMI or body mass index above 25, we call them obese.
Yeah. Then how did life emerge? Again, this is evolution based question. We will not take it up here. The next question is, again they are asking about evolution, but I think this is not the topic for evolution. It says, according to the evolution of humans, are humans getting more sensitive to the environment and our surroundings? Why is that so? I think we have to have a big bang theory for them. We will arrange that next time. So one says, how do you get free from diabetes?
Yeah. So I think we have answered a similar question before that.
Yes, we have answered
Yeah.
before.
So
Yeah. So we will take up this. What are the types of cancer? I don't know whether this is going to take care of this. No, we will have another talk for you.
yeah,
How can we control sugar level?
yeah. So at your age, you just run around, play around, walk around, and you control. You don't have to do anything else.
Yeah. Next says, why is the number of persons suffering from thyroid hormonal imbalances increasing? Why is it increasing over the years? Is it due to lifestyle changes?
Yeah, I may answer this, although it's not part of this
Yeah, it's not part of
presentation.
this topic.
Yeah, but it's called a autoimmune disease, and autoimmune disease is also increasing over time because of hyper sanitization of the world, and which is also anthropogenic in nature, because we are getting more and more into more cleaner world, and which is one of the causes of development of different autoimmune diseases, including hypothyroidism. Okay, so that much for today. We cannot go on discussing this.
Exactly. Yes. I think it's already 3 o'clock.
Okay,
Maybe I can just take some question from the YouTube live channel if there are any. I think I can't find any question here.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Hello.
that's it. Probably most of the questions were out of context today. I think that you should just stick to the questions which on the
Chup.
topic. Okay. So now, students, I would like to
Yeah,
thank
chup.
Dr. Partha Chakravarti for such a lovely talk, and it was so pictorial and it was so interesting. I just felt like, I have opened a storybook today and I'm just going through and somebody is reading out that story to me. So it was really very wonderful. Thank you so much, and we will look
Thank
forward
you.
to having more talks from you.
Talks from
And
you.
students, please,
Thank you.
please always keep your mics muted, keep your videos off. Today, right now, if you would like to put on your video, you can put it on for 2 minutes and we will, just end the talk. So I will take a picture of that and then we can just end the talk. So I think all of you today really wanted to show that you all are all sitting here. So fine, please come on, please unmute your video and come on the show your faces. Okay, can you do that for 2 minutes or should we end it? Yeah, just give a smile on your faces if all of you all are there. Please do that.
Yeah. Apparently nobody is smiling.
You can come, you can smile, just be there. All of you all be there together so we take a picture.
Ma'am, is the class till 5 o'clock?
See, I'm giving you all a chance now. All this while I was, like telling you all to put it off. Can you all put it off at the same time and then we'll end the talk today's? Can we do that? Some
Ma'am, is
there. Actually,
it,
what is happening is that we can't have so many students all together. But yeah, some of you all can be there.
ma'am, is this webinar till 5 o'clock?
Okay, I'm just taking a picture of all of you all. Okay, fine. And thank you very much for making the talk very lively today. But please do not unmute yourselves next time because, I'm very strict. Pooja was not like that. She was handling you all since long. I'm very strict, okay? All the Pune people know me. All the Maharashtra people know me very well. Okay? Thank you very much. And please put it off again.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, is the class till 5 o'clock?
Which class? This is over. Class. This is a webinar by JIGYASA. Okay? Okay, bye everybody. Put it off now. So we all say bye to each other. We'll meet you for the next talk. Okay? See y'all, and please keep it off right now. Keep it off so that next time when you come, your video and your mic should be off. Okay? Okay, bye. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Partha Chakravarti.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now I'm putting my video off and my mic off and I'm going to leave the seminar. Please do that.
Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.